good evening, you guys. It's super late. I understand, but for some reason I was not able to go live at 6 p.m. It's actually not some reason. It's I chose to be a mom first tonight. And I ended up just watching the soccer practice for my daughter. So that was really more important. But I also think that you guys are important, and it's also important for me to keep my word of saying I'm going to go live every single day. Okay. So today we are going to talk about perfectionism is delaying your breakthrough. Perfectionism is such a big thing. And I feel like I've been talking to so many people, especially entrepreneurs, especially network marketers, especially even even my kiddos. I've been talking about perfectionism and how shame can actually take you out. And not a lot of people are aware how this all comes together, how that all fits, and how much it can actually destroy your life, right? But to start now, if you're feeling like your voice is being stuck, it's because you're not expressing yourself. You are not invisible, even though sometimes we want to believe that we are invisible and people are not going to see us. But it's just literally the perfectionism, the shame that you have inside of you that is keeping you stuck. Now, before you think, oh, I'm not ashamed, I don't have shame, I want to tell you something. Shame and guilt are very much similar, right? Except for the fact that guilt is I did something wrong, and shame is I am wrong. And this is where it originates. When we are struggling with perfectionism, we are trying to make everything perfect to avoid being criticized, being rejected, being shamed somehow. Because when we are being rejected by people or when we are being criticized, the meaning we are setting to that task in our brain, we are assigning to that task in our brain is I'm not good enough. That triggers the feeling of shame. Okay. And it's not guilty because we did something wrong. We posted something wrong and, or we posted too fast, or, we show up with no makeup, or whatever. This would be guilt when we did something wrong. But that's not what's being triggered. This is not what's keeping us from showing up. It's shame that is getting triggered with it. And that is why we are not wanting to do it, because when shame hits, we also don't want to talk about it. And I'm not expecting you to comment on it unless you are very smart and very courageous, because a lot of people are hiding their shame. They are either not conscious of it, or they don't want to talk about it because they're ashamed. Okay, shame and ashamed is still a little bit different, because shame is what lurks in the depth of the darkness, right underneath your bed, so to speak, right in the back of your brain. And you only know that it's there. It's in the shadows, right? You only know it's there when you have symptoms like perfectionism, for example, or symptoms like anxiety. Anxiety also is a symptom of possible shame. Shame that you are not sufficient enough, shame that you can't do certain things, shame that you as a person is not good. Now, I talked about this a lot today with my daughter, as a matter of fact. And I said, your identity is never, ever, 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 ever in question. You're always loved. You're always safe. You are always good. Okay? Because God does not make mistakes. I've told her that very, very clearly. It says, I am triggering shame in you, however, often when I criticize you. When I say, hey, why did you not wash your lunchbox? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? What you need to understand is that this is criticism to an action, to a behavior. Okay, it's correcting a behavior that should trigger guilt in you instead of shame. And explaining the difference between the two is so important, so that when someone says, or when somebody says no to your sale, for example, right, you're asking somebody to buy something from you, and they are saying no, thank you. I don't do this pyramid scheme, or I don't do this X, Y, and Z, or I'm not buying this house, or I don't want life insurance, or whatever it is that you're selling, right? That is their prerogative. They are not saying no to you as a person. They are saying no to the product. They are saying no to the thing that you're selling. And that is really important to understand when you're dealing with perfectionism. Your lens of what you are looking at something, whether or not you think it's good or you think it's bad, is completely different. I saw another example. It was a TikTok of some sort. There was a teacher that had two students on either side of the table, and the one teacher, or the one student, was supposed to say, what color is that ball? And, or, you know, it was a ball, I think it was a ball. And he said, it's black. And then the other guy said, no, it's white. What are you talking about? And the example of that was that the teacher wanted them to switch eventually, and of course the ball was on the one side was black and on the other side it was white. What that was illustrating was two things. A, you have to try to put yourself in the position of the other person to see it in their perspective. So it's really important to understand that every one of us might look at that ball, but some of us see it black and some of us see it white. We have different perspectives on that something, because everything is being watched through a mirror and a lens of our paradigm. The paradigm is the subconscious belief system. So if I tell my children, for example, every single day that, you know, the lunchbox has to be washed at lunch, they're going to form an opinion on it. They're going to form, I should always go live at this time. Apparently there's a lot of people online right now. Look at this. Say hi if you are popping on. So here's the thing. So a lot of people are seeing this and through the lens of their paradigm. So if I tell them the lunchbox, wash it at lunchtime all the time, right? That's what they're going to put into their belief system. That a lunchbox, hi Michelle, that a lunchbox always needs to be washed at lunchtime. Now, can you imagine down the line, they're going to get married and their husband is going to say, what's the point? What's the point? Why do you need to wash your lunchbox at lunch every single day? They won't know why they are doing this, but they're doing it anyway. They are doing it all the time because that is what they have stored as this is how it's supposed to be in their paradigm. Every single time you sell something, every single time you do something in life, whether or not you have relationships, every information goes through this filter that we have learned through our environment, through our upbringing, every single time. And this is where, when you are dealing with perfectionism and with shame and with guilt, you have to always take a step back and say, okay, well, I'm thinking about it this way because of my filter. Someone else might see it on a different angle. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to talk about tonight. You don't need clearer words, or you don't need to have better posts, or you don't need something specific. What you do need is empathy and an understanding that you are good the way you are, period. There's no negotiating ours. I have to tell you another quick story. So on the way, I have teenagers, right? And it's actually getting quite interesting. I know that a lot of parents are complaining about their teenagers, and I happen to enjoy them very much. So the conversations we are having in the car on the way to soccer practices and stuff are just literally priceless. Okay. So today we were talking about the name Richard, and the stuff that came out, I feel sad for everybody's His name is Richard because my teenager was like cracking up. But anyway, so we were talking about that. And at the same time, we were talking about, what was it? I just lost my words. That Richard conversation. Just wait a minute. Hold on. I had a point. I promise. I lost it. What was I talking about? I don't know. It's gone. Teenagers. I don't know. Help me out, Michelle. Are you still there? I forgot. It's out of my mind. I don't know. Clearer. We don't need to be clearer. We just need to actually do it, right? Oh, the worth. That's what it was. I'm sorry, guys. I distracted myself a second. I was talking about self-worth. So I told her that she was the one that made it, right? They have health class and they're talking about all the bees in the, all that stuff. So I said, you know what? Your worth is never up for negotiation. I mean, you are one of them that made it, right? I mean, that had a purpose, that had a reason why you were the one that made it. So if you are dealing with shame, if you are dealing with an online business and you are like so scared of rejection and you are so scared of showing your vulnerable self and who you are and stuff, do some healing around your own shame, about your own identity, around your own feeling about yourself. Remember, shame is only capable to live when you don't shine the light on it. It can only live in shadows. The moment you put your flashlight on and say, hey, wait a minute, why do I feel shame? Why do I feel criticized? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough here right now? 200%. That is why, right? I mean, you have to shine the light on it and you have to say, wait a minute, no. I am the sperm that made it, right? I may need to adjust. And then I told her, I'm like, if somebody criticizes you, just be accountable. Just say, thank you for that information. I was not aware that I needed to do X, Y, and Z. Thank you. I will try to do it better next time. And know that it's just a correction to the behavior, not your human beingness, okay? Not your personality. When you keep that perspective with anything and everything you do, your perfectionism is going to go out the window, okay? You're going to take action. You are not going to be afraid to try something because it's okay. A human makes mistakes. We are not meant to be perfect. And what I think is perfect, you may not think it's perfect, and vice versa, right? We all have a different lens, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. All right. Let me know what you thought about my tonight's live. If that was helpful, if it wasn't helpful, great. If you need some more tips and how thoughts can actually impact your entire being, like your business, your sales career, but also your private life, your relationships, everything, go on to www.walkitfree.com/mindset and check out that 15-minute video where I illustrate exactly how that all plays together and how your thoughts can control your emotions and how your emotions control your actions and so on and so forth. Okay, my friends, I'm going to go get some sleep and then I'm going to hit the hay. Good night.